Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla announced the formation of a three-member committee to investigate allegations against Justice Yashwant Varma in connection with the cash at home was found. The panel will include senior advocate PV Acharya of the Karnataka High Court as the jurist member, Supreme Court Judge Aravind Kumar, Madras High Court's Chief Justice Manindra Mohan Shrivastava are also the rest of the members of this particular committee that has been formed. The announcement was made a couple of hours ago. We also heard what Ombirla had to say. Now, the formation of a three-member committee to investigate or to probe the allegations against Justice Yashwant Varma in connection with the cash which was found at his home is underway. Let's discuss this further. Supreme Court's advocate Gyanendra Mishra is joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much for speaking to News9. With the Lok Sabha forming its own committee to investigate this matter further, how might this parliamentary panel alter or maybe reinforce the trajectory of formal removal or maybe impeachment proceedings?
So, this committee, which has been formed by the Lok Sabha Speaker, is basically mandated under the law. There is in Judges Inquiry Act 1968, which mandates that the committee would be formed, and the constitution of the committee is also prescribed under the law itself, which and accordingly to that process only the Lok Sabha Speaker has constituted a committee which consisted of, as you rightly said, the judges of the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice High Court, and one jurist, which is the senior advocate from the Karnataka High Court. Now, this committee is a quasi-judicial function. It will inquire into the allegations which is contained in the motion, which has been signed by 149 members of the Lok Sabha. And if the committee prima facie finds Justice Verma guilty of the misconduct which has been alluded under the motion which has been passed by the Lok Sabha members and has been accepted by the Speaker, then the process of removal will start. And the in-house committee, which was constituted by the then Chief Justice of Supreme Court of India, Justice Sanjeev Khanna, is not a substitute for this committee, which is legally mandated, is statutorily mandated committee, and the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha can take into the cognizance only the report of this committee and not the report of the in-house committee of the Supreme Court of India. This is the constitutional scheme under our constitution, which mandates a process for the removal of the Supreme Court judge and High Court judges. There is Article 124(4), 124(5), which is basically for the Supreme Court judge, and Article 218 of the Constitution, which concerning the High Court judge removal, set down a clear process. And this committee, which has been constituted by the Lok Sabha Speaker, is an integral part of that process, though this internal committee process has not been provided under the Constitution. But as I said, it has been provided under the Judges Inquiry Act, which is again a law. And therefore, the Speaker, as a first step after accepting the motion of the member signed by the 149 member of the Lok Sabha, has now accepted that motion and constituted that committee to look into the allegation of misconduct against Justice Verma. And now this committee will look into the allegations. The Speaker has informed that this committee is supposed to submit its report as soon as possible. A definitive time frame has not been provided for, but the Speaker has made it clear that this committee is supposed to submit its report as soon as possible. And once the committee submits a report and prima facie finds the allegations to have some substance, then the Parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha will get into a debate on the removal. And again, there is a process. After the debate, the process for removal, or what we call the impeachment, is adopted by both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and it has to be passed by a special majority. And the special majority means the majority of the total membership of either or both of the houses, and the two-thirds majority of the members present and voting. And once that is done and the resolution is passed for the impeachment, the Lok Sabha speakers refer it to the president for the removal of the concerned judge, and the president then ultimately pass the order of termination or removal of the concerned judge. So that is the constitutional scheme under our constitution for removal of a sitting judge of the Supreme Court or a High Court. And the Lok Sabha speaker has followed that process. Now we can say that the process has been put in motion for the removal, and we will all have to wait now for the finding of this committee which has been constituted.
All right. But Mr. Mishra, let's also hear the other side, the defense that came in from Justice Yashwant Varma. He questioned the in-house inquiries procedure, right, initially, citing the lack of safeguards under the Judges or the Inquiry Act and also absence of natural justice. Are these concerns also still legally valid, and how might they impact the legitimacy of the entire inquiry process?
So that's a good question, but you see that Justice Verma has gone to the Supreme Court to challenge the constitutionality and legality of the in-house inquiry committee which was constituted by the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court has negated the contention of Justice Verma that this in-house committee has no legal mechanism. There is no provision under the constitutions to constitute such an in-house inquiry committee by the Supreme Court. And again also that the principle of natural justice was violated in the sense that he was not provided the enough opportunity to defend himself or to put forward his defense before the committee. Both these contentions have been rejected by the Supreme Court, and therefore there is an quietus to that issue, and that will have no reflection on the in-house committee which has been constituted by the Lok Sabha Speaker. In any which way, as I said, the committee which has been constituted by the Lok Sabha Speaker is very different from the in-house committee. In-house committee constituted by the Supreme Court was ad hoc in nature, which was meant to inquire into prima facie whether there is any substance into the allegation, and based on that only the Supreme Court Chief Justice recommended the removal of the judge to the parliament. But the point is that the recommendation of the Chief Justice of India has no constitutional sanctity, in the sense that Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha is not bound to follow any such recommendation of the Supreme Court Chief Justice, and therefore the independent mechanism which has been provided under the constitution has been followed. The 100 members, minimum 100 members of the Lok Sabha are required to sign any memorandum for impeachment of judge. And here in this case, 149 member of the Lok Sabha have signed that memorandum, which is strictly in accordance with the provisions which have been provided under the constitution. And therefore the in-house Supreme Court in-house committee's recommendations and findings will and should not have any bearing as far as the investigation by this in-house committee is concerned. And this will do an independent investigation, prima facie investigation into the allegations basis which the proposal, the motion has been signed by the members of the Lok Sabha.
All right, Mr. Mishra, I'll request you to please stay on with me on the broadcast. Let's listen into what Birla has exactly said about constituting this new panel, and then I'll come back to you for further questioning.
जांच अधिनियम 1968 की धारा 3 की उपधारा 2 के अनुसार मैंने न्यायमूर्ति यशवंत वर्मा को पद से हटाने के अनुरोध के आधारों की जांच करने के उद्देश्य से निम्नलिखित 3 सदस्यों वाली एक समिति गठित किए। माननीय न्यायमूर्ति श्री अरविंद कुमार, न्यायाधीश उच्चतम न्यायालय, माननीय न्यायमूर्ति श्री मनिंदर मोहन श्रीवास्तव, मुख्य न्यायाधीश मद्रास उच्च न्यायालय, श्री PV आचार्य, वरिष्ठ अधिवक्ता, कर्नाटक उच्च न्यायालय। समिति यथाशीघ्र अपनी रिपोर्ट प्रस्तुत करेगी। जांच समिति की रिपोर्ट प्राप्त होने तक ये प्रस्ताव लंबित रहेगा।